My name's David, and the Chronological Bible Reading for August 17th is Jeremiah chapters 35 through 37. God tells Jeremiah, go get the Rechabites, bring them into the temple of Yahweh, and offer them wine to drink. Who are these Rechabites? Well, if you go all the way back to 2 Samuel chapter 4, when David was consolidating the power of his throne after Saul's death, Saul's son Ishbosheth had a servant named Rechab. Rechab and a friend of his thought it would be a good idea to kill Ishbosheth, Saul's son, cut off his head, and bring it to David. David's response was, "How dare you kill an innocent man on his bed? You will suffer the same fate." And David orders his young men to kill Rechab and his partner in that crime. Rechab has a son named Jonadab, and he is the one who consults Amnon on how to trick David to pretend like he's sick and have his sister Tamar sent to attend to him. That results in Tamar's being raped by Amnon. We next see Jonadab in 2 Kings with Jehu going into the temple of God and wiping out all of the Baal worshippers. Rechab, father of the Rechabites, has a son, Jonadab. Jonadab is the one who commands the people to never live in houses, to never drink wine, to remain faithful to their nomadic roots. And even though he's credited with being the one who came up with the plan that resulted in Amnon raping his sister Tamar, that brought bloodshed into the family of David and resulted in the civil war between David and his own son Absalom, it's clear that Jonadab started off as a very intelligent person who was aligned with the wrong people. It seems as though the scriptures indicate he made a willful decision to change the course of his life and even his family lineage when he partnered with Jehu to wipe out the Baal worshippers and to cleanse the land. And now it's been over 200 years, and his family line is continuing to honor his command to abstain from wine. Even so, when Jeremiah, the prophet of the Most High God, invites them into the temple and offers them wine, they say, "We cannot do this. Our forefather Jonadab over 200 years ago commanded us not to. We are under a vow, and we will keep the word we have sworn." God says, look to the Rechabites. Because of their faithfulness, Jonadab, son of Rechab, will never fail to have a man to stand before me always, says Yahweh. I wonder if he spent the rest of his life looking back on that day, knowing the pain he caused Tamar and all of the bloodshed he brought into the house of David. Perhaps he looked back on those early days with such regret that he swore that he would never again make those same mistakes, and if he had any say in the matter, neither would any of his descendants after him. Sometimes it's out of our greatest mistakes that God, in his redemptive power, wants to raise us up to change the world in ways that we never would have thought possible. What is the area of the greatest shame and regret in your own life? Have you submitted that to God and asked him how he might use that to make this world a better place? In chapter 36, Jeremiah dictates a scroll to the scribe Baruch. God tells him to write down all of the words that he had been given from when God first started speaking to him while Josiah was king until this present day. As far as we can tell, Jeremiah was prophesying for 22 or 23 years, and many of these prophecies are recorded for us in this book. Baruch follows the instructions to dictate all of these words, and then he goes into the temple courts and begins reading them aloud. These words are so alarming that the king's own servants know for a fact the king needs to hear these words. Imagine you're a senator in the United States of America or a congressman, and you hear a word from a prophet that is so convicting and so alarming about the future of your nation that you say to yourself, I have to let the president know about this. We have to make sure that everyone knows. We must change course immediately, because we are about to be utterly decimated. These priests go to the king and read the words to him, only to watch him in horror listen to every word and then cut off that piece of the scroll and throw it into the fire that he's using to keep himself warm. In chapter 37, the invading Chaldean army retreats for a short time because they hear rumors of Pharaoh's army coming up to help Jerusalem. That creates quite a stir, and there's a moment in time where Jerusalem feels a reprieve from the onslaught of the Chaldean army. Jeremiah takes this opportunity to go and inspect the land that he purchased, only to be intercepted at the gate by one of the king's officials saying, "What are you doing leaving the city? You're going to defect to the Chaldeans. Clearly, you're not one of us because you've been speaking all these negative things about our doom." Jeremiah tells the man he's lying. He's certainly mistaken. But nevertheless, Jeremiah is thrown into prison until he's given an opportunity to prophesy to the king, assuring the king, no, actually judgment is coming and you will be taken by the king of Babylon. Sometimes we get distracted doing things we don't need to do, that God hasn't called us to do, when we have peace. Clearly, God in his sovereignty did not want Jeremiah to be leaving the city. God needed him there to continue the ministry that he'd given him, and it resulted in him being put back in prison. Fortunately for him, though, the king gives him a little bit of a reprieve and takes him out of prison and puts him back in the guard's courtyard. Certainly not ideal. It's not like being free, but it's better than he had been treated while in prison, and at least he's fed there until the economy gets so bad that there's no more bread for anyone to eat. Wherever God puts us, there we shall thrive. And may we, in humility, submit to him and say, God, where do you want me, even if it's in prison? Like Jeremiah, like the Apostle Paul, let it be for your glory and let your kingdom come. This world, in a sense, was created for us so that God could use it to develop our character to prepare us for the next life. God bless you, my friends. Thank you for the privilege of having you on this journey with me through the Word of God in 2024. We'll see you tomorrow.